Can you tell us a little bit more about mindfulness?
So this is the thing. Mindfulness is something everybody knows how to do. We're born mindful. And if you want any evidence of us and our ability to be mindful, give a 2-year-old a pot in the kitchen and a spoon, and they will bang it and listen to the noise, and they will pick it up and they'll put it on their heads and really explore experience with all 5 of their senses if they can. They'll try to stick it in their mouth too. So we're born mindful. The new kind of introduction of mindfulness is also including not just how we use our physical bodies to be present, but there's attitudes that go with it. So one kind of misconception is that mindfulness is just about meditation. And a lot of folks say, oh my God, I can't empty my mind for 30, 45 minutes. And a couple of things. We're not trying to empty our minds. We're actually trying to be aware what's happening, but be aware what's really happening, not the thing that your brain is telling you is happening. So we use the meditation to learn to be present. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is, what is the attitude that we bring into that practice? So we bring an attitude of non-judgment. It doesn't mean it's something hurts or something's wrong. I'll pretend, oh, everything's fine. But what's really happening? Is there pain? If there's pain, where's that pain? If I'm anxious, am I really anxious about something that's happening now? So we're aware of it, but we don't judge it. And the way judgment looks is, oh, I'm in pain. That's the truth. That's the facts. That's mindful. But when I go, I'm in pain, oh my God, I should go on a diet. And yeah, it's my fault, I'm in pain. And now we start adding layers to our experience of being alive that quite frankly, sometimes aren't even true. But it's that judgment. Now, all of a sudden, I'm not meditating. I'm not enjoying my conversation with you anymore because our mind gets pulled away. So when you're judging is when you're in the middle of something and all of a sudden you're over there thinking about it, and usually the thoughts are negative. You're beating yourself up over something. So I think that those two aspects, being mindful, being present, paying attention to what's going on now, and using our body, because this is how we know we're really here. Physical sensations is, how do I know I'm in this room? But also those attitudes of being non-judgmental and doing that without all the extra stuff. The other part of the attitudes is kind of bringing an attitude of beginner's mind. So I'm not just looking at my body looking for pain. I'm actually curious. What's going on in my body today? Oh yeah, this feels good. This part of my body feels good. Oh, I feel strong. Or I need to, attend to this discomfort. There's something bothering me and I wasn't even noticing. Maybe my shoes are uncomfortable. I wear them every day. So when we use our beginner's mind, we actually think, what's happening right now, without that judgment piece. And then there's an element of acceptance. Whatever is happening right now. So if I do feel discomfort or pain, or if I notice that I'm anxious, accepting that that's what's happening right now, but not getting caught up in acceptance mean there's nothing I can do about it. No, acceptance with awareness. Oh, this is what's going on. Guess what? Oh, I'm aware my feet hurt. Oh, why am I wearing these shoes? Or I'm aware that I'm having these thoughts and I'm angry, and the person I'm talking to isn't actually the person that I'm mad at, because I'm thinking my mind is over there and I'm here with you. So being able to accept, oh yeah, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling anxious maybe, or discomfort, whatever, but then really applying that to, okay, what do I do right now? Or is that even actually present right now? What's happening in my real world? So the attitudes are just as important as the meditation. If you go into meditation with the attitude that I'm judging this experience as good and it has to be good and I have to be relaxed and all that, we've lost the essence of that moment. We're actually somewhere in our minds and no longer feeling physical sensations or enjoying the company of the people we're with or anything else. So again, that kind of in a nutshell. John Kabat-Zinn describes it as mindfulness is being present in the present moment with awareness, non-judgmentally, and being witness to our unfolding moment-to-moment experience. And that definition kind of captures those ideas.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you mentioned John Kabat-Zinn, who has used mindfulness successfully with so many different groups, including cancer patients, including people who suffer from
Mhm.
chronic pain. So can you explain why is it that mindfulness works so well for people who experience pain?
So the research on mindfulness that John Kabat-Zinn started, it's been going on since the 70s. So over the course of years, we've looked at all kinds of physical and mental health issues, even looking at people who are terminally ill and how that improves their quality of life in their end of their lives. So it has a couple of different aspects to it. One, mindfulness works on our stress response. In a physical sense, when we're actually present and we're attuned to where we are and what we're doing, our stress response can be turned off. Think about it. Most of the times that you're feeling kind of anxious and uncomfortable, you're thinking about something else, something you did, something you're gonna do. The problem is your body is here. So I'm in this room right now, and if my mind wanders to, what I did before this, the meeting I was in or whatever, or I start thinking about, oh my God, am I going to do a good job on this video? I'm no longer connected to this moment. My body starts having a stress response because it's trapped in the moment I'm in, but my mind thinks it's somewhere else. So that's part of it. It kind of also, when we're using something like a body scan, or we're attending to our breath or our thoughts and so on, that it helps us to realize, where are we? What's the present moment? And most of the time, 99% of your day is a very neutral moment. You're talking to someone, you're having a meal, you're driving, you're walking, you're taking a shower, but our mind thinks that it's really something else. What's going to happen, like kind of scanning for threat. So when we're mindful and we actually come to present moment, we're actually being more neutral, and our nervous system follows that reality. That means that, you breathe a little more relaxed, your heart rate is going to be a little slower. We kick in the rest and restore part of our brain, the part of our brain that's there to, help our cells regenerate, our digestive system improve, and so on. So that would be kind of why mindfulness works from a physical perspective. From another perspective is that if we are in tune to how we're thinking and our emotions and where we really are, it can actually help us with our personal relationships, because I'm not going to be with somebody that I love and spending time with them and be in my head or having an argument with somebody else or worried about my job. And that connectivity, improving our kind of social support and social interactions, is very important. It also helps me kind of on a more, and you could call it a spiritual level, that, really being connected with this idea of sensations of being alive and connecting with things that are greater than me, my community, the planet that we're in. If you have a faith-based belief, connecting to that source. So it doesn't have to be religious, so to speak, but it can be spiritual in that amount of connectivity that we have and that sense of peace that we can get from it.
Awesome, thank you. And how do you explain why is it better for the body, for physical health,
Mm-hmm.
to have? So why is it important to have low levels of stress to have
Mm-hmm.
optimal physical health?
The primitive part of our brain, which is called the limbic system, this is where our stress response lives, and a lot of other things for survival. The human brain is wired for two things. One, for me, the organism known as Lydia, to survive. And then secondary to that, to pass on my genetic material in children and so on. So it's natural for us to be a little bit vigilant of threat. Our brain naturally goes there. But if we compare that with, say, the brain of our dog, or even your cat, they have the same structures. The difference is that your cat only jumps up and screams when something's actually happening. Your dog and your cat don't sit around thinking about, oh, what if something happens later? Who's coming over tonight? Is that the nice uncle or the kid that kicks me? They don't have that. They're actually very mindful, our critters. Our problem is that stress response we have, which is going to release a lot of chemicals into your body like adrenaline and cortisol. It's going to pull fat take fat, convert that to sugar for energy. It's going to shut off a lot of things like fixing cells and repairing things and digestion, all those things that are not important if I've got about 10 minutes to escape a dangerous situation. So the way that it hurts you is two. One, I'm using all these very expensive resources. I have all these stress hormones floating with my body, which are great. They're meant for a little bit of time, 15, 20, 30 minutes, escape, get out of there, I'm okay. After that time, they become toxic. These are anti-inflammatory. This is putting more sugar in your system, more glucose, as they call it, which is why stress has an impact on things like diabetes and other things like that. It also turns off all the parts of the brain that are there to help you replace your cells, relax your blood vessels, lower your blood pressure, sleep, and get restorative sleep. So it's going to affect you in two ways. One, you're spending a lot of energy that you don't need because we rarely run into lions and tigers and things on a daily basis, but it's also not letting you recover. So it hits you from both sides. So learning to do any kind of relaxation, and mindfulness is one field of that. Exercise is another, yoga, which is also mindful activity, but yoga and things like that are another way of turning off our stress response. Helps us to not be, expending all that extra energy, putting wear and tear on our heart and our lungs and our blood vessels and our digestive system and so on. So we're turning off all that extra energy expenditure. And then it's letting us, have the other stuff rebuild, hair, nails, tissues and organs in our body, and helping us sleep, which is critical to our health as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is something that comes up a lot, but it's just the idea that a lot of patients do not like the idea of mindfulness because they think that they have to multitask, because they have so many things to do during the day that they have to be doing multiple things at the same time. So how do you explain to them that that is actually not helpful in terms of like improving their effectiveness?
Oh, yeah. So there's research out there that says when we're multitasking, that it actually takes, it takes more brain power. I have to switch back and forth between what I'm doing here and there. And on average, it takes you about, say you're working on a project, it takes you about 26 minutes if you're trying to do something else to actually get fully back focused on something. So every time we break and we do something, I'm typing an email and then I make a phone call, I'm trying to type, your brain can't do that. What it's doing is going back and forth really fast. And in that process, you're losing seconds. And both of those things are going to take you longer. You're not going to actually be paying attention to that phone call. So you're probably going to have to re-say things a few times, or worse, you're not going to remember everything you needed to say in that conversation. And you're probably going to get typos and have to reread that email 3 or 4 times because your mind is still on the conversation. And now you're trying to edit your email. So there's that dual processing does not work. It's sort of like, in the old days, we had hard drives, and for anybody who remembers, your hard drive would save things in different parts of the computer, and your computer would start to get really slow. We used to actually have to do this thing, defrag, which put it all back in order again, all linear, one thing after another, like in a nice little spiral. And that's what we do when we're multitasking. If you want to test that, and I saw this on the internet, and I don't remember the gentleman that does this. So you write numbers 1 through 26, and you write, I love multitasking, or anything that's got 26 letters in it. Write a sentence. One time you go through and you write it, and the other time you write the numbers 1 through 26. So you got these 2 rows. See how long it takes you. You want to time that. Then go back and do 1 letter, 1 number, 1 letter, 1 number, 1 letter, 1 number, and see how much more time that takes you. Because you're having to, you're not multitasking. You're not doing it all at once. You're actually switching back and forth with what seems like it's very fast, but you're losing seconds every time you do that. And that can really add up at the end of the day. In addition to that, it takes a lot more energy because when you have to re-engage, your brain has to work harder. So you're going to be more tired than you need to be.
Right. Yeah, that is true. And also more likely to make mistakes Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then when it comes, one thing that I tell people is like, if you're trying to have a conversation with someone, but at the same time you're trying to do something else, like the other person can tell that,
Hmm.
and it impacts like negatively your relationships.
Oh
So
yeah.
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 Mhm.
And that's the thing. So you're at work and you're thinking about what you want to do with your kids when you get home. You know, I want to spend some time with them, or I want to go to dinner with my wife this weekend or my husband this weekend, or thinking about that vacation you want to go on. And then you go on vacation and you're in the middle of some beautiful place with your wife and your kids, and you're at the office, you're not actually there. And at the end of vacation, you don't even feel rested because you weren't on the beach, in Jamaica, you were at the office. So I think that that's another place where we have this illusion that we can do that, and we can't. So our relationships suffer. And then we don't read cues. You might miss that, for example, your child might be telling you they're fine, but if you're actually engaged with them, you might notice that they didn't smile with that comment. And where you might notice that and go, yeah, but what else might be going on? And maybe you hang with them or sit with them in silence and they eventually open up to you. You're going to just listen to those words because your mind's somewhere else, walk away from that situation, and you might miss something important. So I think definitely impacting our relationships. The other part of that is that, we don't even realize I'm irritable. I get this a lot. So, oh, I'm just an angry person, and I'm so stressed out. I go home and, I'm yelling at my wife and my kids or whatever, because you don't even know you're irritated, and you haven't had a transition between work and home for your brain to realize that you're not over there anymore. You're here now. So it just takes away from our joy of doing things. Maybe I'm sitting there having a great dinner with a bunch of friends. I'm not even enjoying the taste of that food. I'm not even really following the conversation. So I think it has a tremendous impact on us. And I think we're seeing it a lot with the pandemic, where we're not really thinking anymore about the people that we're, say, reading posts about, right? So we don't agree. Okay, we don't agree. We get so caught up in an anger about what that means. And my friends aren't wearing masks. Oh my God, they're going to die. I'm going to die. And all this dying is going to go on. And now I lose a friendship, as opposed to thinking, well, what might else be going on? Because mindfulness lets you take a little step back and go, I wonder why my friend is having a really hard time with, wearing a mask. Are they afraid of something else? What other concerns are going on there? And really trying to get beyond that initial response that we have, our fight or flight and fear. And now you're the enemy. That's the way our brain works. And instead of like, well, it's a person I love. I know they're pretty conscientious. What might be some other worries they have? And engaging in dialogue that's coming from understanding each other, as opposed to fight or flight just popped up and showed up. And next thing you know, we're at war with our neighbor or worse, somebody you live with. So it has a role there as well.